तत्परं पर्यय विद्महे ज्ञानलिङ्गेश्वराय धीमहि तन्नो गुरुः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ योग महर्षि डॉक्टर स्वामी गीतानंद गिरि गुरु महाराज की जय। Jyoti, that beautiful luminosity, resplendent effulgence, that luminosity that is our true nature. Arupam tata jyotirakakatvat tadeko vashishta shiva kevaloham, that pure consciousness that we are, that luminosity, a luminosity that is beyond description, beyond depiction, and is a experiential state of being. When we say the word Jyoti, the Sanskrit term has a J-Y, Jyoti, Jyoti. In Tamil, when we say it, it becomes more Jo without the Y in it. J-O-T-H-I is how the Tamil pronunciation is Jyoti. So we say Arutperum Jyoti, Jyoti, Jyoti is how we say it in Tamil. In Sanskrit, it is Jyoti, Jyoti. So J-Y-O-T-I is the Sanskrit version. Tamil version is J-O-T-H-I, Jyoti. When we talk about this Jyoti, Patanjali so beautifully tells us in his Yoga Sutras that it is a Vishokava Jyotishmati. It is a luminescence that has no negativity attached to it. Normally, whenever we think of something, there will be positivity and negativity attached to it. Because we are, in essence, bipolar. If there is the positive, there will be the negative. If there is a negative, there will be the positive. Which is why in the universe, the Ha and the Ta, they coexist. Yin and Yang coexist. Day and night coexist. Both the Jekyll and Hyde both exist. The good and bad wolves exist within us. The devil and the angel both exist within us. And as they say, which one manifests? The one you feed. How do you feed it? By focusing on it. When you focus on something, you are feeding it. So when you focus on the negativities, you are feeding the negativities. It doesn't mean you are not aware of them. It's not an escapism. I will not think of the negativity. You know the negativities are there, you have to deal with them, but you focus on the positivities. You know there's a problem, but focus on the solution. Not that you are denying the problem. It's not an act of denial, but it's an act of understanding the negativity is there. But one needs to look at the answer, not the problem. Yes, Dr. Ananda and Gangster Yogi coexist. A very beautiful light. I'm scared to use the word light because immediately people are like, is it a neon light? Is it a tungsten based light? Is it an LED? CFL? It's always a struggle when we use the word, because when you say light, people are thinking of tubes and bulbs. At least when you say luminosity, effulgence, it sort of takes people away from that limitation. It makes it a delimitation. Vishoka va Jyotishmati is Patanjali's advice. That there is the luminosity that has no negativity associated with it, because that luminosity is of such a nature, it has transcended the opposites. When you talk about asana in the Ashtanga Yoga of Patanjali, he says in the state of asana, and please remember, asana is not just something you do, it is a state of being. All the angas, ashta, all of them are states of being. In that state of being, which is asana, where you are established in a state of sthira and sukha, you are in a steady state of comfort, of ease. You are established in your own steady state of ease. That is your asana. And each one has their own asana. Where are you finding that steadiness and ease in you? That is your asana. That is your state of being called asana. When you come into that state of being, you are at ease with yourself. The opposites cease to affect you. Tato dvandva anabhigata. The dvandvas, the two-twos, the dualities, the opposites, they cease to affect you because you are no longer caught in their clutches. That is why we don't talk about the lower centers. We talk about the Ajna and the Sahasrara and the under chakras when we talk about this light, because it's a light that has to be beyond the senses. You are not really perceiving this light, this Jyoti, through your sensory apparatus. It is a supra-sensory experience. It is not a sensory light. It's not a light, a luminosity, an effulgence that is perceived through the senses, but is a parasensory, supra-sensory, trans-sensory perception. Which is why one needs to go beyond the senses. The Indriya Jala, the snare, the web of the senses has to be broken. You have to escape from that. That is why Pratyahara has to precede Dharana. Pratyahara has to precede Dharana, because it is only in Pratyahara that you are transcending the senses. And it is only when you have transcended the senses, the higher consciousness can start to focus. Otherwise, it is only the sensory consciousness that is focusing. And anything that is focused through the senses will always be limited, because the senses are limited. So when we talk about this Vishoka va Jyotishmati, it is a luminosity that is within us, connected to the higher centers, the under chakras. In the Gita-ananda tradition, we talk about the 12 chakras, the 6 lower, which are called the pinda, associated with the body, the physical body, and the 6 under that are not associated with the physical body, they are cosmic. So the lower 6 are depicted in a straight line because we are vertebrates. And then the higher 6 are described in a big circle. Sort of, it's like, if you were to look at them in a hologram, they are constantly, sort of moving like this, something, that type of feeling up here. It's not that they are just stagnant here. They are constantly, in a dynamic flow. And when we talk about these, the lower centers, we talk about Mooladhara, Swadhisthana, Manipura, Anahata, Vishuddha, then we come to the Ajna. So the spinal and the cerebral, cerebrospinal centers are 6, Shad chakras. But then starts the journey above. Sahasrara is the seventh, but it is the first of the higher six. And because many people don't have this higher six under chakra system, all the higher six become sort of put into one, which becomes the Sahasrara. The Sahasrara, the Narayana 8, Brahmananda 9, Trikuti 10, Swaminana 11, and Muktana 12. These higher centers, you are opening your consciousness. This is why we have the brain. The brain was supposed to be the connector to the higher levels of consciousness. Patanjali gives us in the Vibhudipada a very beautiful concept, Murda Jyoti. Murda Jyoti is the cranial luminosity. A luminosity within the cranium. Now, if you go back to one of the Shatkarmas, you find Kapalbhati. And Kapalbhati is sort of the bridge from Shatkarma, Kriya to Pranayama. When it is done only with the fast, rapid breathing, the abdominal pumping, with the fast, rapid breathing, it is definitely a Kriya. It is a cleansing action. But when you start to do it with the awareness of the prana and apana flowing, as done in Gitananda tradition, when the prana and the apana flow you start to visualize it, it then starts to move into the pranayama. So from a Shatkarma, it moves into a pranayama when the prana and apana visualization and experientiation is brought into it. And at that point, the focus moves from here, which is the Kriya focus, to up here, where you have the prana coming in, the apana going out, prana coming in, apana going out. So each time, it is up here. It is the Kapala that is having the Bhati. It is the Kapala that is being shined. And what you're doing is all the neurological connections, the interconnectivity of all those neurons, those trillions of connections, they are starting to come on. It's like the lights are coming on in your skull. So Kapalbhati is a very important prerequisite to start making sure all these connections are clean. The connection should be clean. Because if your connections are not clean, what will flow through it? If Tamasika Mala is blocking up the neuronal connections, nothing's going to flow. It's like, everything is there, but the door is closed. So Kapalbhati as a practice to awaken these connections and clear them out. The Murda Jyoti, Swamiji used to use a term Murdini Jyoti. And this light is often associated with two centers. One is the Ajna Bindu itself. The second is the pineal gland, which is also a Bindu. We'll discuss it at a different point. You have concepts like Tisrathil, Shivanetra Bindu and other Bindus that I have very consciously decided to keep for whenever they have to be, because things have to be done in a proper way. When we are thinking of the light within us, the luminosity, one is the pineal gland, and the pineal gland is often associated with the Sahasrara chakra. And the pineal gland is the sort of the receptor for higher consciousness. The pineal gland, as a medical student, I think one of the things you would not study is the pineal gland. Because, when you talk about the endocrine system, you know that Most probably the full question would be on the pituitary gland because it has so much information. So please study about the pituitary. There's the anterior, the posterior pituitary, the anterior pituitary, the adenohypophysis, which does blah, 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 and the posterior pituitary, the neurohypophysis, which does blah, 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 blah. Lot of information. So a full question will come. Thyroid hormones are very important. Adrenal, oh my God. You have the adrenal medulla, you have the adrenal cortex. So, what happens is that the focus is not on learning. The focus is on knowing what you need to pass the exam. And so what happens is everybody studies the rest of the endocrine system, leaving out two important components. One is the pineal, second is the thymus. Pineal and thymus are the most important from the higher consciousness point of view. And what happens is we because we don't know much about them. Thymus, T cell immunity. Finished. Pineal, melatonin, something to do with sleep-wake cycle. Initially when they started talking about endocrine system, they thought the endocrine system runs on its own. Then they started to realize the endocrine system is under the control of the pituitary. So it was called the master conductor, the boss gland, and the master conductor of the endocrine orchestra. Then what did they do? They went further and they said, oh my God, this boss has a bigger boss. This boss has a bigger boss, hypothalamus. The hypothalamus, in my concept, is the center, the hridaya of our existence, and is the neurological correlate with the yogic concept of samatvam. And the other day, my dear brother, Kaviraj Udupa, when he gave a beautiful talk, I asked him about this, and I was happy when he mentioned the hypothalamus. As a person who's a neurophysiologist, he, also mentioned some other things. But in the hypothalamus, you have the whole, everything about what we are doing as a human being. The hypothalamus is the boss of the whole endocrine, your immune function, your sympathetic and your parasympathetic, especially the front and the back of the hypothalamus, your thirst, your hunger, your temperature regulation, sexual function. Oh my God, you name it, the hypothalamus is in charge. And that is why that hypothalamo-pituitary axis is where that Agya Bindu is bringing the element of consciousness. And this is why it is a very important point when we think about the light within, the luminosity within. So Agya Bindu is one very, very important point. The pineal gland, related to the Sahasrara, is a gland that is photosensitive. Most of the endocrine glands are photosensitive, but especially the pineal. And the pineal gland enables us to respond to the light-dark cycle. And what happens is the pineal gland, the moment it is dark, the pineal starts to secrete melatonin. When it is light, the pineal says, you don't need melatonin. The outer sun is there. And when it's dark, it says you need the inner sun. Try to understand this from a very different point of view. Not just that, okay, there is melatonin at night and not there in the day. And if you are going to travel from Australia to USA, take some melatonin tablets to get rid of the, sleep deprivation and the jet lag and, all that issues that happen when you travel. The melatonin is secreted when it is dark. And this melatonin is very, very much related to another hormone called serotonin. Serotonin, melatonin. And what is serotonin? Serotonin is that substance. That is a very, very beautiful substance that is related to the sun center. Serotonin related to sun center, melatonin related to moon center. And you start to find this beautiful balance, the dance of the chemical substances, the neurotransmitters that are happening within us. All of this is very much related to what you eat also. So tryptophan is a very important part of this whole process, which is why tryptophan, that's why when people eat chocolates, they feel happy. The tryptophan in the chocolate. The pineal gland has been one of those glands that has suffered atrophy, disuse, atrophy. And what has happened in modern human beings is it starts to calcify. And so the pineal gland starts to calcify, which means basically it starts to become a piece of stone. It starts to become a piece of stone, lifeless stone. Or, as Swamiji would say, it becomes what he used to call pineal dust. And one of the major reasons this is happening is that we have stopped being beings of light. We are supposed to be beings of light. And we have actually become doings of darkness. That just came together. From beings of light, we have become doings of darkness. Caught up with dark doing. All ancient cultures venerated the sun. And it was expected you would get up with the sun and go to bed as the sun set. You start to wind your day down. The sleep-wake cycle, the activity-deactivity cycle was very much related to the sun. And cultures realized it. And when the cultures realized it, the pineal gland functioned properly. And the pineal gland, as the connector to the highest consciousness, also would function. But as we got limited to material consciousness, everything started to become quantified. Everything started to become, judged and evaluated in terms of quantity. The moment we started to quantify everything, the pineal gland says, these people are no use. Them. The pineal gland was the connection to the higher consciousness. But we don't want the higher consciousness because it is qualitative. We want the lower consciousness, or rather lack of consciousness, because you can quantify it. I told you yesterday, in the box you can quantify it. When it's out of the box, how do you quantify it? If someone says, how much money do you have in your box, you can count it. If they say, how much air is there in the universe, you're like, I'm reminded of a beautiful story, Akbar and Birbal. And Birbal was a courtier in Akbar's court. Now, there are a lot of versions of Akbar and Birbal, and people wonder whether he really existed or not, or whether he was many people, and the stories put them into one. But there's a beautiful story where, as usual, Akbar liked Birbal a lot, and Birbal really kept Akbar in good humor and gave him beautiful viveka. Birbal had a lot of viveka buddhi. But naturally, there were a lot of people who didn't like him. So one day, they go up to Akbar. He's in the garden, palace garden. roof garden. And they say, Jahampana, Huzur, my dear emperor, why you always favoring Birbal? We are as intelligent as Birbal. We are even better than him. The idiots always think they are wiser than the wise. The wise know they know nothing. The wise know they know nothing. The idiots think they know everything. So if somebody says they know everything, you know what they are. So Akbar says, okay, fine, guys. I will ask you a question. Yes, Jahampana, go on. He says, in Agra was the capital city. In Agra, tell me how many crows exist. Tell me how many crows are there in Agra. Crow census. Emperor, why do you ask us such tough questions that have no answer? Even Birbal cannot answer such a question, because how can you count the crows in Agra? Akbar says, no issue. He calls Birbal. He says, Birbal, these guys say they are more intelligent than you. What do you say? Birbal says, yes, they are. Because when you are wise, you realize there's no use arguing with fools. When you are wise, you stop arguing with fools, because you realize if you are wise, you stop arguing with fools, because you realize that when you argue with a fool, you are pulled down to their level and they are very comfortable at that level, whereas for you, you will be discomforted. You can never argue with a fool because they are used to being down there. They know the nooks and cranny of ignorance. And the wise doesn't know that, right? Birbal is very wise. He just says, yes, Huzur, I'm sure they are. Akbar says, the question I asked them, they are not able to answer. Birbal says, I will try. Again, the wise will always say, I will try. Maybe I know the answer. Maybe I can find the answer. If somebody says, only I know the answer and come to me 100% guaranteed, please run the opposite side. That is my request to you. So Akbar says, the question I asked them was, how many crows in Agra? Birbal says, give me a few minutes. Yes, Huzur. Akbar is like, you didn't even go from here. He says, yes, Huzur, I have counted them. Here Akbar is like, come on, Birbal, you are taking me for a ride. Said, no, Jahampana. I think I have an answer, Jahampana. He says, tell me. He says, there are 350,265 crores in Agra. And Akbar is like, Birbal, you have gone too far this time. You don't know I am the emperor. If I want, I can cut off your head, I can banish you, I can do anything to you. And you are playing with me, saying there are 350,265 crores in Agra. He says, yes, I'm sure. Are you sure? Yes, Huzur, I'm sure. Are you sure? I'm very sure. What if there are more crores than what you have said? Birbal replies, their relatives from other cities have come to visit them. If there are more crows than what I said, the relatives of the crows have come to visit them from other cities. What if there are less? They have gone to visit their relatives in some other cities. I love Birbal. I think growing up reading the stories of Akbar and Birbal, you realize that as your human consciousness grows and that Viveka grows, you start to actually perceive everything very differently. You are not limited. As long as you are caught in the senses, you are quantifying things. You need to qualify, and that is why the pineal gland is a focal point that is allowing us to start qualitative experience rather than quantitative. And this pineal gland, Swamiji used to say, once upon a time was a third eye that was out the back of the head. I think one of the newer updated CGI versions of Star Wars had one of these creatures which had a stalk and then an eye that would turn like this. There was a funny creature whose eye was like that. Swamiji used to say that was the third eye, that the pineal was actually an extra eye. And at some point in our evolution, it turned in and came inside the skull. Makes as good a sense as any other idea. And Swamiji used to say people got tired of people poking the third eye and so put it inside. People always poking your eyes, right? The third eye got poked. What do they mean by third eye? They mean another perspective. And again, this is a perspective into the cosmos, because the Sahasrara is the first of the Anda Chakras, is the door, the window that opens up into that amazing universe that transcends what we have related to with the Pinda Chakras. The Pinda Chakras are related to the universe in which we live. They are direct correlations here. The Anda Chakras are where you expand out into that vast universe that is infinite. An infinite universe, that which cannot be quantified, but can be qualitatively experienced. So when we talk about the Murda Jyoti, Swamiji used to say Murdini Jyoti. He gave a term Murdini Jyoti. Patanjali uses the term Murda Jyoti. What Patanjali says is the more you contemplate this light, so the light source could be the Agya Bindu itself, or it could also be the pineal. These are two. And the pineal gland is often implicated in experiences that people talk about as white light experiences. White light experience. Now actually, white, it's not really white as a color. It's not a white light as a white color, but basically it is a colorless light that encompasses all colors. And when you realize that white is basically not a color, but is a combination of all colors coming together. So when we talk about white light, it is not white light. It is actually light that is colorless, but in it has all the colors. Both the opposites are coexisting if you think of it. It is both colorless as well as all colors are encompassed in it. Both the opposites come together in that light of the pineal. This Murda Jyoti, Patanjali says, when you do samyama on the Murda Jyoti, when you start to deeply contemplate, Dharana Dhyana Samadhi is the samyama process. You start to deeply contemplate the inner light. He says, what happens? You attain a siddhi. Vibhuti-pada is all about the siddhis. He says the siddhi that manifests is Siddha Darshanam. Siddha Darshanam. You start to have visions, a darshan of all the great masters, the Siddhas. The Siddhas are the ones who have the highest level of attainment. The word Siddhi means success. That is why Lord Krishna says, Siddhya Asiddhayo, in both success and failure. Siddhi, Siddhya Asiddhayo, in both success and failure. Siddhi as success. Siddhya Asiddhayo Samabhutva Samatvam Yoga Uchate. Yoga is equanimity, balance, despite what appears to be success or failure. You have transcended the dualities. That is where samatvam exists. The beautiful concept of Siddha as an adept, a master, someone who has mastered the self, someone who has attained the success in the sadhana, and the siddhis are starting to manifest through them. Normally when people have a siddhi, they'll not talk about it. So if people say, oh, I have this siddhi, most probably they're after your purse, so run away as fast as possible. They don't advertise it on Facebook that they have this siddhi. Or they'll give it to you for a payment of $1,008 or whatever it may be. You cannot transfer siddhis. You have to earn them. What is the currency with which you earn them? Self-effort. No other way. Now, of course, Patanjali says, mantra tapa samadhija. He says what happens is there are first two levels, janma aushadhi. Through birth, some people have the siddhis. That is where the reincarnation process comes into being. That we talk about janma. Aushadhi as the herbal methodologies, through the herbs to transcend the consciousness. So people say, oh, Patanjali said it's okay to take drugs. Well, he had no idea that what we human beings would do with this knowledge. Aushadhi is very different than the narcotic substance abuse drugs that people take in the name of spirituality. But then come the three. Mantra, tapa, samadhi. Through mantra, through tapa, disciplined effort, self-effort, and through samadhi, which is the result of dharana dhyana. These are the ways the siddhis are attained. You cannot just gift it to someone because they paid you for it. A siddha is one who manifests the siddhis. They have reached the zenith of their journey. But these siddhis, they seem to be siddhis, but they are obstacles. And that is why Patanjali warns us. He says, do not get locked in them. But when you contemplate this inner light, he says, Murda Jyotishi, Siddha Darshanam. What is that Siddha Darshanam? It is not that all the master siddhas, all the master yogis will line up to give you the autograph, or so that you can have a selfie with them and post it on Facebook, as we all do. Meet a great person, what do? Get a selfie with them, get the autograph, post it on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or wherever you want to do it. That's not what Patanjali means. Siddha Darshanam means that when you focus on this luminosity within you, what happens? You become a Siddha. You attain the status of a Siddha. You are mastering in the siddhis are coming alive in you. That luminosity that you have focused on, chosen to focus on, that luminosity, you become the light. You have moved from a dark doing to a light being. And you become the light itself. And when you are the light itself, when you have become a siddha yourself, you are one amongst the siddhas. And you are in that state of being where they all are. We have to re-understand these concepts. It's not that, oh, they're all going to line up and I'm going to watch them because I focused on the inner light. Murda Jyoti, Siddha Darshanam, you get a nice, hey, they're all lined up for me. Wow, so nice to see all of them. There's Patanjali, there's Vyasa, so nice. You have become one of them. You are in that place where they are. Yes, Sangarajan. That is why Shiva Darshana is not looking at Shiva. You have become Shiva itself. You are having the perception, the perspective that Shiva consciousness has. Shiva Loka is not just going and sitting next to Shiva because he is sitting there in Shiva Loka. You have come into that loka, you have come into that plane of consciousness that is Shiva. These are planes of consciousness. We have personified them for our understanding. We have given saguna forms to the nirguna. That is why every culture makes God look like they are. So Chinese God looks like a Chinese, Indian God looks Indian, South American God looks South American, European God looks European, African God looks African. Because we have seen God in the form that we are. That's what all cultures have done. We need to understand the divine is energy. When we talk of Shiva, it is energy. When we talk of Vishnu, it is energy. When we talk about Krishna, it is energy. And that what you are doing is that you are becoming, by your focus, E is equal to mc square. That mass which we are, the gross level, the stula is becoming sukshma and karana by focus, the focus of the mind. The mind is the accelerator that enables you to speed up the mass to become a pure energy. The mind is a powerful tool, very powerful tool. So when we are doing the Jyoti Dharana, the Jyoti Dhyana, as Vijaya so beautifully said yesterday, meditation, it is a gift. Such a beautiful conversation Divya had with Vijaya last night. So happy Divya is doing these global voices and bringing out the best in my dear Geetananda family, and that others can also experience it with them and know each other better. What a beautiful thought last night from Vijaya. Meditation is a gift. You have to deserve the gift. I want that gift. Give me that gift. Because I'm me. We need to deserve that gift, and then that gift comes. When we contemplate this luminosity that's within us, we elevate our consciousness. And at that point, Siddha Darshanam, we are one with the Siddhas, and we have that highest perspective that they have. When you become one with yoga, you have the Yoga Darshanam. That is why I always say, if you want to understand Maharishi Patanjali, you have to become Maharishi Patanjali. Otherwise, you cannot understand him. You have to become yoga to understand yoga. You have to become life to understand life. And that is why, to worship the divine, one has to become the divine. So important. We'll stop today. Namaste.